What's up and welcome to KindaFunny's Barbie in Review. Of course, I am Ken, and I'm joined by
Hey, Ken.
And
Hi, Barbie.
and
You can call me Nickenheimer.
great. Someone got the memo, all right? Someone's taking Barbenheimer just a little too literally here, Nick, all right?
I watched both those films twice in one day. It was 19 hours of film. I went bombshell.
Wow.
It's good. And here we are doing a one-off in review for Barbie. It had to be done. There was so much hype. There was so much excitement here at KindaFunny and around the globe for Barbie, the worldwide phenomenon, to be made into a feature film. So, of course, we're going to rank, review, and recap it within its own cinematic universe as a one-off. Maybe there'll be a sequel. Who the hell knows? But, of course, this is KindaFunny's in review, where each and every weekday, no, that's not right. Each and every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. There's been so many recently. We recently did Oppenheimer to continue Christopher Nolan in review. Before that, we had a whole bunch of revisits to the MCU, the DCEU with The Flash, and a whole bunch of cool stuff coming soon, including Ninja Turtles in just a few short weeks. And next week, we will return to where it all began in MCU in review with Secret Invasion with me, Greg, Nick, and Andy. So stay tuned for all of that. Again, you can watch it on youtube.com/KindaFunny or roosterteeth.com. You could also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for KindaFunny in review, and we will be right there for you, just like our Patreon producers, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, and Nathan Lamoth have done. We appreciate you all so very much. Today, we're brought to you by Honey, BetterHelp, and Shady Rays, but we'll tell you about that later. Can I just give a shout out? A couple shout outs real quick. Carter Harrell, Cameron goddamn Kennedy on that intro.
So good.
So good. And Kevin Coelho bringing the heat. We originally we found the broadcast set of Barbie. I think it was Cameron Kennedy who sent me a picture of like, this is a 1980s Barbie set.
6 o'clock news Barbie.
And we're like, what the hell? It looks exactly like our set layout, which is so weird. So we ordered it from Etsy. This is an original 1980s Barbie set that we got. Kev, can you show them off that for a second? Like, look at this
so
thing.
Nice.
That's so funny.
It's absolutely wild. So we had to get it. And Kev, like it. I can't explain to you how complicated this setup is in a way that does it justice, but Kev really kicked ass there. So thank you. Of course, thank you to Cameron Kennedy for going goddamn above and beyond on that intro. I
don't know how Cameron did any of that.
It's
because
just
he didn't have physical Barbies for any of it, which is crazy.
wild. I'm going to rewatch that intro for the rest of my life. But enough about that. I want to get into this. I want to talk about it. We're talking Barbie. With a runtime of 1 hour and 54 minutes. It was released on July 21st, 2023. Nickenheimer, what's up?
Why did they change seats? I don't understand why Andy's hosting now.
Oh, that is a great point.
It's a joke because my hair is blonde right now. And it's a joke
Just
because
like
Tim has
me.
blonde
Who's
hair.
talking?
They're indistinguishable. When did you learn how to play guitar?
I don't know. It's really impressive. I was practicing all day.
God, I hate you all. This had a release date of July 21st, 2023, aka Barbenheimer Day, the same day that Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer came out. And, you know, we've been saying this a lot recently, but cinema is saved. And this is yet another weekend to prove it. It was directed by Greta Gerwig. This is her fourth directorial instance. I don't even know the right way to phrase that. But third in a row of like the big heavy hitter movies, having Lady Bird, having Little Women, and now having Barbie. I've still not seen Little Women, but I'm a big Lady Bird fan. Joe,
We gotta do it.
Yeah.
Little Women, even if you don't necessarily care about the like book and the original story, the way that Greta did it with Saoirse Ronan, Timothée Chalamet, like Florence Pugh, like the cast is just stacked, and they had an incredible time of like modernizing it, making you like empathize and understand characters that like historically have been like really disliked.
And the CG is like Honey, I Shrunk the Little Women. Like it's one of those things.
Wow.
Gotcha.
There's a point in there that Andy would laugh out loud watching, but you're never gonna watch it.
Yeah.
It goes, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The Hobbit effect from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then Little Women.
Yeah, it's
They're
crazy.
just so little. The music was done, and this was a major surprise to me by Mark Ronson, who is
Oh, yeah.
like debatably like my favorite artist of all time. When I really look back at like the quantity of output and quality of the quantity of output that he's done. Like he's a music producer, mainly known for Amy Winehouse and like that kind of sound. But he puts out maybe every like 3 years like a collaborative album that he is the main vision of, but like it's just star-studded. Like he gets everybody on it and like creates really interesting musical themes and stuff. And I just did not expect him to be scoring this movie, and then it makes so much sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's so fun.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what this movie called for.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. Then we have a budget of this one of $145 million. Obviously, box office, we don't have the final stuff because this movie has just come out. But Nick, I don't know if you've seen.
Oh, and it's been crushing.
It's crushing.
Crushing.
And so is Oppenheimer. This weekend has been insane. It is nigh impossible to get tickets to these movies.
Can I tell you the story?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't
So, of
wait.
course, we'll pull the curtain back, everyone. Pull the curtain back here. Tim and Joey, predominantly, I'd say it's safe to say, are the ones that usually, I guess Kevin also, Kevin gets us the screeners.
Yeah.
But if back in the day when we had to actually book tickets for movies, it was always Tim or you that fell on your shoulders to do. So, of course, when Tim's like, Nick, you have to see Barbie at some point. Here's a screener we're all going to on Thursday. I'm like, no, I have to do the plot. I want to make sure I get it right in my head. I'll go see it on Sunday. Flash forward, Saturday afternoon. D, what time you want to go tomorrow? I don't know. Pick a time. What time are they? I was like, oh, there's showings every second of the day. I'm sure it'll be fine. How about the 12 o'clock? Sold out. How about the 1 o'clock? Sold out. Over at Kabuki, both sold out. Everything was sold out. And I start to panic. I was like, what? What excuse am I going to give to Tim for why I couldn't get off my ass and book tickets? Finally, we found 2 tickets at 6:45, so we ended up having a nice date night. But it was pandemonium at the Kabuki Theater. If you thought, though, that screener we went to for the Flash movie was insane, this was like blocks away from it. I'm like, what's happening? Why are there so many people in pink here? I don't where did they find this Pepto-Bismol pink? And where do you see that? Get in the theater, it's hot. Ooh. Not because the air conditioner's not there.
Stinky.
It's the bodies. There's so many bodies crammed. I don't think I've been to like multiple sold out theaters of a movie in a really, really long time. And it was a fucking party in this theater. Massive party.
Oh, yeah, man.
A lot of phone screens, too. I was like, we got to put all these away, okay? The etiquette didn't go out the window, Barbie fans.
Can we also talk about this, the return to movie theaters? People have their phones out all the time.
Dude.
They're chit-chatting through the whole
They're
thing.
talking the whole movie.
How have we not reined this in yet? This is not at home. We are not at home anymore.
Yeah, no, it's
But nothing could ruin this experience.
Nothing could, even though me and you had a pretty tough one where we were second row in a theater that only had like 4 rows total. So it's like, I was like, it can't be that bad. We're in recliners, and I was like, oh my God, I am inside Barbie right now. That's not what I meant to say. Not what I meant to say. But it was fucking crazy. But anyways, it's crushing. It's crushing so hard right now. It's currently having a box office of $356 million.
That's wild.
Dang.
Breaking records left and right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the best opening weekend of the year, right?
Yes, and
this movie's dominating.
So many stats on that make it even more impressive.
Like number 4 all time, right?
All time, beat out Mario, the number 1 for a female director. So many accolades being thrown at this, and it's only the beginning. And on top of that, Oppenheimer's also crushing it, being the number 3 best opening for a Nolan movie. That's because of Batman. Like, pretty wild,
Number
man.
1 non-Batman, right?
Exactly. So it's like, that's just people are showing up, and hey, there's quality movies out there. So I love it. I really like to see this.
I can tell it's a big deal because my mom called me and she was like, we're going to see Barbie on Friday with like her little like book club. I was like, I could not tell you the last time my parents saw a movie on opening day, opening weekend. My mom's in like 3 book clubs.
Cool.
She's retired, living her best life.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, that's what's so crazy about this is like, can you think of another analog to this that's happened in the last 10 years that wasn't a Marvel movie or a big tentpole event like Star Wars movie or something like that, right?
Well, dude, I mean, that's actually another one of the big talking point accolade things is like, this is like, somebody did a breakdown of like, if you don't count sequels, if you don't count superhero things, if you don't count blah, 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 like this is the first original movie to do this well in like 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, granted, we should put the caveat on it. The Barbie has been around for a few years, and it has a massive brand recognition.
Yeah,
but there has never been a
superhero.
major motion picture movie done.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like even less than that. This is like a thing. Not like, oh, the movie's good. Well, and we'll get into the merits of the film as well. But aside from that, walking there, I was like, I felt FOMO.
An
I was like,
event.
I have to see this movie. I don't know what's happening right now. If I don't see this movie, I'm not going to be one of the cool kids. It was this is going to be a massive cultural moment for cinema goers, but just in general, as like a water cooler moment.
Oh yeah, and I think that that's special in a time where this show covers franchises, and so there's never been more franchises than this year, and we've seen that week after week, and we know how it feels to watch all these movies, and for this to be this moment where people are returning to the theater for Oppenheimer, for Barbie, for both, celebrating that, dressing up, doing all the pictures, and like treating it like an event, like this. Barbie felt like Star Wars Episode 1, and that's an insane thing to say.
That's so true.
But I think it's going to be, this weekend's going to be talked about with the same type of like, yo, there's a fun to go into theaters that's not just watching the movie. It's like the whole thing.
A lot more rosé in this one, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than Episode 1.
I also think it's really interesting that this weekend was presented as a Barbie and Oppenheimer and not a Barbie versus Oppenheimer. I think obviously the Barbenheimer name makes it a combination, but I feel like this so easily and with just a couple of tweaks and changes could have been like a war of like the pink versus the black, like color kind of like clash thing.
I think because they are at opposite ends of the spectrum, that is what kind of caused the meme. It's similar to during the pandemic, we had Animal Crossing and Doom coming out on the same day.
Totally.
Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing came out. So people had a lot of fun with the combinations there and like, oh, what are you playing today? Are you playing this game where you are destroying demons with shotguns? Are you decorating your little house or whatever? And I think a lot of that played into, like, if this were any other movie, if Oppenheimer was any other Christopher Nolan movie, I don't know if it really does that. I think because of the subject matter, it is like the perfect kind of thing to play into the meme.
Well, let's also think about this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but he used to produce through Warner Brothers, right? This is the first one he didn't do through Warner Brothers. So had he kept that relationship going, there's no way they would have put these two movies out on the same weekend.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of actually might have been a blessing in disguise for Warner, because that energy built around itself with the internet meme in a very positive way, which is wild to me.
It really is. So, all right, enough
Were there background things about how like Warner purposely put the Barbie against Oppenheimer?
No, it was just, I mean, again, like we keep talking about this, like there's only so many weekends
It's
in a
crazy
year.
that Mission Impossible was the weekend before.
Yeah, and it's like,
And Indiana Jones the weekend before that, right?
I mean, Mission Impossible is going to get its lunch ate. Like, it is not going to make as much money as it would have in any other year, but that's just where we're at. So Barbie, I mean, it has a runway right now that I think it's going to be able to.
Yeah, what else is
keep
coming
this
out
pushing.
that's going to even come close?
I mean,
to it?
like Ninja Turtles and some other things that like are different. You know,
I don't see Ninja Turtles taking its thunder, because I feel like the audiences for this, like I literally overheard a group of women in front of me go, "We got to see this again."
Oh yeah,
I think it's going to be a party movie for the next like month at least.
It certainly helps that the movie's good. Like I think if
I
think if the movie comes out and early reviewers totally trash it, I don't think it hits as good as much as. I think this was just like the perfect kind of set of circumstances of both of these movies having really popular directors, both of these movies getting really good ratings before they come out, and because of the subject matter in both of them. I think I think back to G.I. Joe coming out. Like, I think of G.I. Joe and Barbie as like similar in terms of what they did for for action figures and just for fandoms back in the day. And we didn't see G.I. Joe have anywhere near this sort of explosion. Like, it's wild how popular this was.
think they did a good job marketing it too. I think the original trailer you saw that was a 2001 ripoff really set the tone of like, okay, it's Greta Gerwig, it's Noah Baumbach. They're doing something with this movie. This is not just a straightforward Barbie movie. This is going to have some commentary in it that I'm not going to want to miss. So I think that even if we weren't like reviewing this, I still think I would have probably seen this in theaters.
Oh yeah,
which says
absolutely.
a lot.
Yeah, so let's get into our thoughts on this. It's been long enough. Joey Noelle, what did you think about the long-awaited Barbie movie?
I, of course, really liked it. I will say I've seen it twice now, and the more that I see it and the more that I talk to people about it, I do think that I'm getting even higher and higher. Originally, I would have like scored this a 4 out of 5 because I think it's solid. I think it's also really hard for me. Like Lady Bird is such a Joey movie, and Little Women I really loved, so it's hard for me to like rank this within those because I've had so much time with them. So I still think I would put it at number 3, which might be sacrilege, but Greta Gerwig just doesn't miss. Like, she's so good at it. She's so good at telling. She had with fun and commentary and humor in the musical. Like, there are so many things and aspects to this movie that, like, truly they shouldn't all work together, but they do. And it's kind of shocking that she made it all work. I don't know if you guys saw, like, the Letterboxd list of movies that she had that, like, inspired these. And, like, it's like 27 movies, and it's crazy to see, like, what the wide range of, like, really, like, niche French films that had, like, the coloring that she wanted, and then old Hollywood musicals and all of the Splash from the 80s. It's like you had got all of these inspirations from everywhere and managed to put them into a cohesive story. The Will Ferrell stuff is like the stuff that I just don't really care about in this. I'm like, I feel like we could have figured that out and reworked that. But Margot Robbie is incredibly perfect as Barbie. Ryan Gosling's Ken is just like perfect. America Ferrera, I really like. I think the collection of Barbies and Kens that they had were really fun. Like, and I think part of why I ranked it a 4 out of 5 is I was like, oh, I wish they would have gone like a little bit deeper in the commentary, because I feel like it was like a little bit basic. I think part of that too is me thinking about that I'm lucky enough to have people in my life where like we talk about like feminism and like women in the world like a lot. So I think I'm coming from a place where like I'm deeper in that segment than like maybe other people across the nation. So I think that these are really important like baseline conversations to have in media. And then the other thing was like, oh, this didn't hit as hard for me as Lady Bird or Little Women, and like I just wish that it would have gone a little bit harder. But then it's like this entire movie is like holding women to unexpected or unrealistic expectations. And I'm like, am I doing that? And it's just like, I like how much this movie makes me think about different things. And like, I feel like I will think about this for a long time. In college, like if you were a comm major, you took a media criticism class, and you could only pick like a piece of media once in the entire like history of the class. And I'm so fucking interested in whoever gets to pick Barbie and like what kind of like dissection they get into. I feel like this is going to be like great video essays and stuff like that, because I know that there's stuff that like I wasn't picking up on that other people have and stuff, and I'm very excited to like keep having these conversations.
Hell yeah. Andy.
I loved it. I went to go watch it alone at the Regal Theater. I regret not going with you all because I had the crappy seats. We already spoke about this. Not happy about them, Tim. I'm never going to sit in those seats again. Popcorn, though, better than Cinemark names.
Crispy.
So good, let me tell you. Packed theater. The whole audience just vibing to this whole movie.
At like 4 p.m. on a weekday.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a blast. I had a smile on my face the whole freaking time. I agree with Joe that I think they could have gone a little bit deeper into all the symbolism and everything, but I still think that it had enough there to have a message without where we have a lot of, we review a lot of movies on here and we go, man, like they tried to say something and they just failed at it. I still think they said something. I just wish they went even harder at it. But, dude, Ryan Gosling was just making me laugh the whole time. And I need to watch The Nice Guys. Like, I need
100%.
to. I think that Ryan Gosling's comedic chops are so perfect, and there was a debate like, is Nick gonna like the movie or not? And I thought, while watching Ryan Gosling in this movie, I just thought Ryan Gosling's comedy is like what Nick sort of strives for, with just how he is, and so cool, Barbie. Like just all that stuff. Just I was laughing the whole goddamn time. I feel like I was probably laughing the most out of everybody because it just felt like everything this dude was doing, I was laughing at. In addition to all the rest of the Kens and Barbies in this movie, I initially thought this Will Ferrell stuff is not going to work for me, and it like halfway worked. And that's what I'm happiest about, because I really thought it was going to like tank the movie, and I still got some decent laughs from there. But the movie's heartfelt. I think they do a great job of kind of hitting those notes of, all right, this is going to make you cry, because we were showing imagery of mothers and daughters all around the world, and just random clips and images of whoever they may be.
Do you know who they are?
I assume relatives of the workers?
Yeah, it's all people that were involved in the production of the movie could submit pictures and videos and stuff like that. So it's cast, it's crew, it's like everybody.
I was just teary-eyed like hell, man. And like, whenever a movie does the sort of silent cutaway without, audio from the cutaway that you're watching, that shit just always hits really different for me. And I thought it was beautiful, and I think Margot Robbie was phenomenal. I loved her performance in this movie. I think she needed to be super silly and funny whenever she was, and then all the moments that she needed to be more serious and a bit more subdued. I thought it was like a pitch perfect performance. I freaking had a blast with this movie, and like walking out, I just thought to myself, God damn, Barbenheimer fucking delivered. Like,
yeah.
I thought like one of these movies is not gonna hit me the way I wanted to, and both of them I thought were incredible. And I'm saying that walking out, seeing the sea of pink clothes walking out, like what a freaking blast this was. Although they didn't turn the house lights on for like the first 10 minutes, I had to save the day on the patriarchy, Nick.
What did you use?
I walked out, I was like, can we get the house lights off? Everybody was just sitting around me, just looking around like, I guess
because everyone was on their phones, they weren't even paying
I'm
attention.
gonna fucking do this. And I think we may have
I'm
gotten
gonna be the hero.
I think we may have gotten one dude fired. Because I walked out, I was like, can we get the house lights off? The house lights are still on. And then like a more senior looking person walked in, Nick, and this person was like not wearing the Regal shirt. They were wearing like
the suit.
Yeah, it was like this was the manager, and he walked in there. He opened the door, hit the lights, and then shot a real ugly glare at the young kid who was wearing the Regal shirt. I don't know if that kid's working there anymore. I'm sorry. Great movie.
Nick Scarpino, what'd you think of this one?
I liked it a lot. I think I'm a bit lower than you guys are on it, and I think partially because I was expecting it to be slightly more fun in the real world than I thought it ended up being. So going into this, I think they nailed it across the board. I think this movie is kind of at odds with itself a little, though, because I think it is a drama wrapped in a fun Barbie movie, and that's a really hard balance to strike. To me, I think of movies like Pleasantville, or I think of movies like Elf, where you have... Like, I kept wanting this to be more like Elf, where Barbie's in the real world and struggling, and then everyone starts to realize that she is incredible, and she starts changing the real world. But we didn't get that dynamic.
Yeah.
Instead, we got her going back to Barbie Land and changing it back to where it was before. So if you look at it, it's kind of a disappointment for me where we get to the end of the movie and Barbie Land's sort of where it was at the beginning. Barbie has learned, but everything else hasn't really changed there, except for the Kens are a little bit more self-aware. And there's a lot more nuance to that than I'm giving it to right now.
Yeah.
But the only real criticism I have is that the movie was fun. But what were the most fun moments of the Barbie movie? Like, what's the most memorable things you guys can think of? Because to me, I walked away with Kent.
Alan.
Yeah.
Or Alan, right? But either of those aren't Barbie. And so that is my only disappointment with it. Was I was assuming, I'm like, you got Margot Robbie, you got this great cast, you got Issa Rae, you got all these incredible Barbies. I wanted to see that fish out of water story where they go to the real world, they encounter the workers that are horrible guys, like they're just the patriarchy, and change the real world, and then take that back to Barbie, where there is a different dynamic, or the Barbie Land, where there is a different dynamic there, and then have that radiate and have both those play off each other. I think they looked at this movie and were like, we need more fun, and that's where you get these Will Ferrell moments that just plain old fashioned don't work.
Yeah.
All the Will Ferrell stuff. All the guys in the thing, I'm like, oh my God, get me out of this boardroom. I want Barbie back on the streets, hanging out with America Ferrera and the daughter. I love that dynamic. I was hoping we'd see more of that in the real world, because you have this daughter who is like, I am the criticism of Barbie. Like, the daughter represented the overall arching criticism of the last 60 years of Barbie, which is that she is a stereotype that is impossible to live up to, right? But we never really got that back and forth with her other than at the lunch table. I would have loved to have seen that happen in the real world. But instead, we get the daughter, who's in all black, go to the Barbie land, and then suddenly start wearing all pink, which seems to me a little bit like a regression. I digress. And then I also really, really did not like the ending with Ken, where she had to basically nurture him. I was like, whoa, this feels really off,
But-
really weird.
Representative of how things usually work.
Very true. and that's where the nuanced discussion is, to your earlier point. Like, people are going to be studying this film for a long time, because I do think there's a lot of all of those dynamics are real.
Yeah.
All of that's real. To find a character at the end of the movie who has gone through this, entire process, so much so to the point where she's willing to basically be mortal and go to the real world and experience all what being a real woman in the real world has to offer. It just felt like her saying that obviously was echoing what she was going through when she's talking to Ken about finding your own identity and stuff like that. I just wish that scene hadn't been. It just kind of felt at that moment I was like, wait, is Ken the main character of this movie? Because we're with him in that moment, and he wasn't, and it's not necessarily portrayed that way. Really felt like they lingered on that for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And this movie needed about 300% more Alan.
Also true.
Yeah.
I will say, just a point to you talking about the I wish she would have gone and changed the world. I think that would have felt that would have made the movie feel less grounded, because I think most people watching that were just like, oh, Barbie changed the world. That would have felt cheesy, and that's not really how things are ever going to work.
Fair.
In the real world.
Fair. But I feel like, to me, her changing or her affecting the real world more is what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Because I think she does in regards to she affects where the mother and daughter are. Obviously they have a better relationship. They're going forward. They learn more about each other. I like that dynamic.
Yeah.
I wanted that fish out of water story more. Because I think when we got back to Barbie Land, I was like, they're really, really relying on the Kendom aspect of this, which is great, but I wish we had that fun and games segment in the real world, and I wish we spent more time with Margot Robbie. I think they gave her more fun things to do and learn from.
They did have a couple of moments of lines of dialogue when they eventually flip the kingdom back to Barbie Land, and they talk about how, hey, men will eventually become more important here in this world, much like women are constantly doing that uphill battle thing to try to be, more leaders in the actual real world. They kind of mentioned that line a couple times of hey, it's been a long battle and we're still going at it. So I feel like that was enough for me from the filmmakers to be telling me hey, they're not going to change the real world yet. They're slowly making strides to to kind of have that ideal world the way Barbie Land is or whatever. So those are the lines of dialogue that listened to and got out of and understanding. I'm with Joey. I don't know if I would have been super satisfied with that as hey, the real world's changed now, and
I wasn't expecting her to wave a magic wand and then all of a sudden write all the things that are wrong in the world. I just think I don't know. I think back to stories like Elf, and obviously that's an oversimplification of what this movie is trying to achieve, which is a much more important message. I think when you contrast feminism and the feminist message with the spirit of Christmas, we don't really need to make that debate. I'm not trying to make that debate. But I do think there's a specific magic to taking someone who's so pure and so wholesome as Barbie and putting her in the world, and then seeing how that affects the world. And I just wish we had gotten more of that for the second act.
Yeah.
But instead we get them going back to Barbie Land, and I think they just rely on Ryan Gosling and Will Ferrell to do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the fun aspect of it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, give the man the Oscar. Ryan Gosling in this movie, this might be his best role he's ever done. And I hold him to a very high standard. But overall, dialing it back, because it does sound like I'm putting together a scathing criticism of this, and I do not mean to. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well done. I thought it was as good a balance as I could have possibly expected of the subject matter, which is very, very important and very, very real.
Yeah.
With Barbie. And those worlds could have collided in such a horrible way. And I think Greta Gerwig and the team did a really, really great job. I think production-wise, stunning. The movie, the Barbie Land, all that stuff, incredibly imagined. I would be surprised if they didn't win an Academy Award for the actual production.
Worldwide shortage of pink paint because of this movie.
Awesome. And then just the cast and crew in general, just incredible. Would have loved to have spent more time with the Barbies again together, because I think you have a superstar cast of people, but what are you going to do? It's only 2 hours in the movie.
No.
Midge.
Who's Emerald Fennell, who is she's in The Crown. She directed Promising Young Woman and just has the babiest of cameos.
Yeah.
So funny.
Fantastic, man. I'm kind of in between, I think, a lot of this stuff where it's I think that at the end of the day, this is a great movie. I think it's even more so an important movie. Joey talking about this being studied. There's a lot to break down here. There's depth on depth on depth and layers and all of it. And it's all wrapped in a legit effort to make a movie, to make a cinematic experience like nothing we've ever seen before. And I think that they pulled that off in a world that we've seen so many adaptations of, whether it's comic books or toys to life, whatever it is. We've seen this. Yes. We've seen this stuff a lot. And I feel like trying to find that balance between doing something that's actually unique and creative, actually having a message to back it up, and basing it on something that means a lot to people is a very, very, very hard thing to pull off. And I think potentially impossible to get 100% right and please every single person equally. I feel like at the end of the day, my criticisms of this film almost don't matter because it's not about me, the guy that watches every fucking one of these movies that comes out and like is comparing this of like, well, did I like this aspect better than I liked it in the Lego movie? I didn't. Did I like this better than this? I didn't. Did I think it was funnier than this? No, whatever. That's not the point of this. I feel like, and even to the feminist conversation you were having, Joey, it's like, I feel very blessed and lucky that I have friends like you and people around me and live in an area that has always talked about that stuff. And so some of the messaging in it, I kind of look at it as like, well, duh.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that we all at this table want it to go deeper. But I also like that we understand why what it was is still plenty deep and going to be heard by a whole new generation of kids out there that I think, not even just kids, even so there's adults out there that need to hear and see some of this stuff. And I feel like for as quote unquote surface level as some of it could feel, the way that they use the Kens to show the patriarchy and how quickly things can get bad when you give men power, I thought was fucking inspired. They did such a great job of building it all off while still making it feel very kind of like not, I fucking hate men. Like it never felt that way. Like them showing how much they loved the horses. Like that is just so
God, I wish we can get horses up on these screens, man.
It's just so
They're just
funny.
an extension
But,
of man.
But it's great though. It's like I think that's the type of stuff that like, yo, this was written and directed by people that really have something to say and have a view of the world that is critical. And like I feel like using Barbie to be able to show all of it, they did such a great job with it.
And even just like I feel like that's so representative of like people get down so many like weird culty belief rabbit holes because they're enticed by one thing and then they fall down. And when he says at the end, obviously spoilers, I was kind of like less into it when I found out it wasn't much about horses, but like that was enough to get him like out of it. It took a bigger thing. I feel like that's a lot of people where it's like, well, I'm committed to this and now I have to double down and I'm double downing so many layers and now this is who I am. It's like, oh, this is all very interesting.
Yeah, and I do think that the cast was incredible. A couple, like, I feel like I expected more cameos from a movie like this. I feel like it was
You didn't like John Cena popping up in the sea?
It was amazing.
That was
I
incredible.
can't believe he was the only one though. Like I feel like
I'm with you.
for how hard they went with the marketing of this movie and this person's here and Dua Lipa's a mermaid and this and this and this, I thought, oh, there's clearly going to be some other things. Like we didn't even get the cameo king Channing Tatum, which I feel like would have been pretty special.
That is tragic.
And it's like, I understand that like people are like, oh, like, are you criticizing the movie because it didn't have more cameos? I feel like this movie could have used more cameos in order to like just to raise it just a little bit more. And the way, again, looking at the Lego movie, like the way that constantly I was surprised about who and what was showing up and how it was being referenced, I was so blown away by. And this movie does that for a lot of things. I just thought that cameo-wise it could have went further. However, I will completely take all that back because we got a banger reference to the DCOM classic.
Gotta kick it up. I was telling this story to Roger earlier and he was like, I had no idea that existed or anything.
Gotta kick it up.
So
What is
Nick,
that?
back in either the late 90s or the early 2000s, there's these things called Disney Channel original movies, all right? And every single month the Disney Channel would put out a new movie and we sat with bated breath for the new one to come out and we would watch the reruns all next month until the next one came.
Yep.
One of the last ones that our generation fucking rocked with was called Gotta Kick It Up. And it was about, what was it about, Joey? Give me
It's
the
a
pitch.
dance. It's been a while since it has America Ferrera in it.
Yeah.
She's in a dance squad. And I don't really remember anything else about this story.
A
if I'm
school
being
dance
honest.
team get a new lease on life thanks to a teacher who lets them in on the secret of Latin rhythms for a big competition.
Yeah.
And so this unlikely squad has to get together and overcome the odds, but they have a catchphrase, and it is, Andy,
Gotta kick it up.
No.
Si se puede, okay? And we get them making a reference to America Ferrera in this, and I lost my shit.
It was incredible. That they also make her say sisterhood at some point earlier, and I was like, oh, the fucking traveling pants men are back.
Yeah, so I loved that. But anyway, transitioning to my last bit of critical thing, I need to watch this again to really see how it fits. Definitely the video essays and all this stuff. Something didn't sit right with me about Margot Robbie being so out of the last act of the movie. It kind of felt distracted. It felt like we're dealing with Barbie as a concept more than we were dealing with Barbie as a person. And something about it when we get all the kids and families playing with the stuff, it felt a little like we zoomed out a little too much when we spent so much time being here with her and seeing her. Like my favorite moment of the movie, honestly, was the scene of her and the old woman at the bus stop. It's so
I
good.
love that, yeah.
It was just so good. And I feel like
A scene that they wanted to cut.
which is absolutely wild. But that scene with Margot Robbie, seeing her cry, seeing all of that, and then to the end of the movie, kind of just deal with Barbie more as a name and less about Margot Robbie's stereotypical Barbie, I feel like it was a little bit of a disservice, but I might have a bad read on that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that I have nowhere fully formed my thoughts on it, but yeah, the third act is so light on Barbie because it's heavy on the other stuff, and so I think the balance is a little funky.
It's heavy on the land. It's heavy on getting Barbie land back away from the kingdom.
Yeah.
Which is heavy on getting the Kens to fight against each other.
Which is, oh God, that scene. I mean, come on.
So a funny thing about Kendom, I was reading, maybe it was a TikTok, I don't remember, but somebody saw it in another country, and instead of Kendom, it was Kenmark, because they were like in and
like
around Denmark. Yeah. So I love the
so good.
localization of some of these jokes, and I think it'll be funny to see what they end up doing.
that is so awesome. All right. We are about to get into the plot. Remember, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to get this show ad-free and watch live as we record it. This episode is brought to you by PayPal Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. Did you know it only takes a few seconds to get it? That means if you go to add it to your laptop or iPhone right now, you could be done before this ad read is even over. And you know what else works fast? Honey's deal finding abilities. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. When you check out, the Honey button appears. All you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that. And then if it finds a working coupon, you will find the prices drop. We've saved thousands of dollars thanks to Honey, buying costumes, props, tech over the years. Honestly, not using Honey is just silly. Honey doesn't just work on desktop, it works on your iPhone too. Just activate it on Safari, on your phone, and you get to save on the go. Getting Honey seriously only takes a few seconds, and by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. You can get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kindafunny. That's joinhoney.com/kindafunny. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, just like Mike likes them. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. And every purchase supports the Shady Rays Impact Program, which works directly with nonprofits and their communities to empower and make adventure accessible for all walks of life, from childhood cancer patients to young adults with serious health conditions. Exclusively for y'all listening right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, that's shadyrays.com. Use code KINDAFUNNY. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We all know life can be hard. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. I know from experience how often it just seems easier to care about others and keep it moving. But when we spend all of our time giving, it can leave us feeling stretched thin and burned out. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist anytime for no additional charge. For more balance with BetterHelp, visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny. But Andy, please take us away and lead Nick to the plot.
What is it? Ads first?
Ads now.
Hey, we're back. Ready for the plot song, everybody. I'm working really, really hard on this, okay? Nick's gonna tell you the plot. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Nick's gonna tell you the plot. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. He's gonna tell you what happened. Yeah, he's gonna tell you what happened. And yeah, he will. Thank you. Oh, wow.
Nickenheimer, what happened?
Hey guys, I was just coming back from the gym.
Hey, Ken.
Let's go. Hey Ken, how's it going?
Hey, Barbie.
Oh, all right, guys. I tried to freaking pull it back up. I don't know why I closed it.
Perfect.
We're having
I
too
don't-
much
here we
You did
go.
a great
This is
job.
the most fun we've had on an in-review production, I feel like, in a while.
Oh my god, fantastic. All right, everyone. It's time to get serious and talk about the plot for the 2023 hit film Barbie. We start off in just the most beautifully produced moment where we meet stereotypical Barbie. She wakes up in the morning, and it's the Disney moment where, like...
Well, it opens with Space Odyssey.
Oh, it does open with Space Odyssey. You're absolutely right. Sorry. Which is great, because that was the first laugh I got. With a little girl just, like, raging as she's smashing the dolls, right? And we get
Who
Barbie,
wants
we get
to
Margot.
play like they're a mother? Like, or, you know, what's
Yeah.
the whole, like, nobody wants to, you know, play with these toys where they're fake cooking anymore.
Who's
They wanna
saying
play
this?
with dolls.
Helen
Helen
Mirren.
Mirren.
Helen fucking Mirren
Yeah.
is the
You gotta get
narrator.
her. You gotta get her.
So good.
I digress. We see, of course, the statue of Barbie, or the doll, life-size doll, and that turns into Margot Robbie, and she walks away, and all the kids realize this is the doll we're going to be playing with now for the rest of our life.
In the iconic black and white Barbie bathing suit.
Is that
It's
iconic?
that is one of the most iconic Barbies of all time, and they just crushed it.
It was fun watching this with Dee because she was like, I had that. And I was like, right on.
She a big Alan fan?
I don't think she ever had Alan, but she does remember Midge. She was like, oh, I remember that. That was weird.
That was weird.
I was like, okay. the Midge, the guy. I thought Midge, but she was like, I thought Midge was, they had other midges. Like, or was it Skip? Was it,
There's
there was like
Kelly, and then there's Skipper,
Skippers, I think the one we were
and then
thinking
there's
of.
one more that I never had that I don't remember.
But Midge was the one that was like,
I had no context for Midge other than like what was in the movie.
it's incredible. Anyway, this is where we cut to the movie and we meet stereotypical Barbie waking up. And I love all the moments here of her, like, basically, you know, taking the shower, pouring herself some coffee, but never actually interacting with any of these things because she never really did because she's a doll. And of course, we'll learn later that she's being played with in the real world by someone, a child, we think. We're not quite sure.
I saw a really great Twitter thread that was like a visual comparison between moments of this movie and The Truman Show. And like the visual language, like really being like tied into that. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
That's a really good analog for that. Yeah, they start off the same.
I also think the scale of everything that they did in this scene was really great because nothing ever felt right, like the actual human size. But that's how it always is with like Barbie dolls. It's like everything's always like a little bit too big than what you're supposed to be playing with, and so it felt.
where the house is like a house that's too small because you have to be able to fit it in
Exactly.
someone's room. You know, it's like all the houses were like tiny because they fit on the same block. Having said that, if I could have that house in San Francisco, I totally would.
Oh, man.
that place the Barbie mansion was a banger. We meet all the other Barbies here. We meet all the entire litany of Barbies, but it's important to note that she is stereotypical Barbie and therefore is the Barbie, that the originator, the original of all this. We also meet the Kens. We'll just call Ryan Gosling's Ken. And then we'll also call all the other Kens Ken as well.
Okay.
Okay.
We also meet Alan, played by the venerable Michael Cera, who's just
What a
when they
treat.
get so they introduce all the Kens.
fucking
We
treat.
go out to the beach, and of course, it's not just he's not a lifeguard. Ken's not a lifeguard. He's not even a beach patrol. He's just beach.
Beach Ken.
It's perfect.
And then we
No
meet Alan,
surfing.
and Alan has a wonderful line where Helen Mirren's like, "There's only ever been one Alan. They never did more of that." And Michael Cera goes, "Yeah, it's really confusing. I don't understand why that is."
My favorite thing, Nick, is I'm sure you've heard this, but Blessing is infatuated with Michael Cera.
Who isn't?
But like,
point.
he really loves this guy. And he
loves this guy.
he fucking loves this guy. And it's so funny. But on Games Daily, like Bless will say "Hey man" a lot. And it turned to a point where like, hey, can you say "Hey man" as if you're Michael Cera? And it's the type of bit that's like blurred the line of like, we've all been there.
Where is the bit?
Well, yeah, where is the bit at this point? Like, I don't even fucking know.
Hey,
but
man.
the amount of times where Bless says "Hey man" and we all just crack up because it reminds us of Michael Cera. Michael Cera in this movie says "Hey man," and it is it reminded me of the big kid moment in Ant-Man. Like, oh my god, dude.
I love it. I love that. Of course, we meet all the Kens, and we established the fact that Ryan Gosling is infatuated with Barbie. He's in love with her, but she kind of just thinks of him more as a friend. He wants to go home with her to do what? I don't know.
I don't quite know.
Not quite sure. He tries to kiss her.
Because we're girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah.
His timing is so good, and the tone of voice. Just, I fear like we're gonna lose him, like we lost Austin Butler to Elvis.
Oh.
But I would be really excited if
That's
Ken
just
was
gonna pull
just.
Paul Walker. I was like, don't you even say that.
Oh,
Oh my
no.
god.
Don't you wish that on me, Ricky Bobby?
No, never. But yeah, I just feel like it's his life is now before Ken and after Ken.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's gonna ever get out of it.
I think this just puts him on another stratosphere, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And this movie, we joked about there being a sequel to this movie, but there's just no way they're not going to do another one of these with how much money it's making. And if they can make a Ken movie, a Ken and Alan adventure movie, you sign me up.
I mean,
With Simu as well.
I feel like all of my TikTok algorithm recently has just been different interviews of Ryan Gosling at different moments for this movie. Being in full character, he is just a blast to like watch be interviewed because you could tell he just loves every part of it. And recently watching an interview, he's like, well, yeah, it's just all the Kens together and they're Kenning all over the place. They're Kenning in each other's hair. It's just, he's like taking it too far and he's realizing it, but it is so fucking funny, man.
Is it the Nick thing where he's like, I don't know how to get out of this?
Yeah, but somehow I feel like Ryan Gosling saying is a lot more charming than doing it. I think he's a lot more.
I saw a meme that was like the MCU, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 thing, and it was like Barbie, and it was like Ken, the origin story. No, it was just Ken, and then one was Alan, the origin story, and then it just kept going, and then eventually the Avengers of it was just Hot Wheels.
It was all like Mattel stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. We set up to have a rivalry here as well with between.
Also, shout out to the Lizzo song that plays during
Yeah,
that like
great.
narrates her
So
day.
fun.
The self-aware song that
Yeah.
kind of gets
Reacts
funnier.
to everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Simu Liu and Ryan Gosling have a rivalry because they both like the stereotypical Barbie. And man, when they start getting into it until they're gonna beat each other off. I can't tell you how hard everyone in that theater laughed because it's one of those moments you're like,
I'll
we
beat
all
both of y'all with both hands.
collectively agree this is absurd, but we're all also fucking in. We're
Yeah.
in the car on this ride with
Yeah.
these two guys. Later that night, of course, there's a dance party. You're having a big old dance party, and this is where I believe. Actually, no, that's not true. I think it's girls' night first, right? Ken wants to sleep over. She's like, no, I'm sorry, it's girls' night. He's like, it's always girls' night because she never prioritizes him or their relationship. Goes into the thing, parties. Next day, wakes up. This is where the Lizzo song.
But also, as he walks away, he's like, it's okay, I'm busy.
I love you too. That's the sad one. I'm like, oh.
I love you too.
And
Oh,
he
no,
does. His little walk is also so.
Yeah.
Oh, I
funny.
love it.
He does, like, a
He's
little
practicing
dance.
the dance that he does later at the dance party to enter the dance line because Simu Liu is crushing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I love the casting of all the Kens are great. Kingsley Benadir, is that his
Yeah.
name? Watching Secret Invasion in this, I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is such a total
shit.
difference. Like,
I just started watching Secret Invasion
Yeah.
last night.
That's him.
That's hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
I love his
And then-
performance in this. But
Blonde guy is Chris Evans' brother Scott.
oh no way,
Yeah.
There's another Evans.
that's awesome. I just really love Simu Liu in this, and I feel like for obviously Ryan Gosling crushed it, but the two of them together, like I believed that Simu Liu is the Ken. And that, like, in any scene he was like put up against Ryan Gosling, and I think that is a testament to the writing of that version of the character and the performance of it that Simu brought. Like, he was just smarmy as shit in the best ways.
But just all of them are perfect. I also, before I forget, I just want to give a shout out to the entire cast of Sex Education for being in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I knew Eric was in it and I knew Maeve was in it. I did not know the other guy was going to be in this.
Who's the other guy?
The guy that he's the I forget his name, but
Oh
he's
yeah. Look at them.
Oh wow, they're both good looking. These are the Evans brothers.
Handsome.
Yeah.
We're listening to right now. Real quick, he was the guy that was the receptionist at Mattel, or the guy that figures that out at Mattel and has to go up. He's also, I believe, in sex education. He played the bully for a while and then ended up having
I haven't watched
spoilers.
it yet. You keep telling me to watch it.
Really, really good show. Everyone
My
should watch
favorite thing too is that they cast Emma Mackey.
it. Yeah, Maeve. Yeah, who's the one that everyone always confuses for
With
Margot
Robbie.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, now that you have dark hair, we don't really look that much alike. I wish that they would have done something with the girl from Ready or Not. Like I wish she would have been in the real world to be like
with
just
Samara.
a funny little
Yeah.
comedic bit of like, you look like me or something like that. Because I think they look more alike, but
That would have been funny. That would have been real funny.
Also, Chad, let me know if you think that in this movie, Ben Adir, what's his full name?
Kingsley Ben-Adir.
Kingsley Ben Adir. It's like a hyphenated, right?
yeah.
Let me know if you think he looks like Kyrie Irving at all. Because in this movie, like anytime he had a headband on or like glasses or whatever, I would like double take like Kyrie in this movie. What is going on here? It's very odd.
Oh, they do look a lot
well,
alike.
they look a
with
lot
blonde
alike.
hair.
Yeah, between these two and Samara Weaving.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But that's also a picture for our belief in sex education. Everyone should watch that damn show if you haven't already. Do it right now. Finish Suits
Okay.
and Pearson.
Okay.
Don't forget Suits season 9, not on Netflix. It's on Amazon. But
Every
it's
time
on
I
Amazon
open
for
up the fucking app, I
Amazon
see
free.
that it is number 3 in
Dude.
the world.
It's crushing. I don't want to go off too long on this, but Nick, I need to let you know that this weekend, me and G watched 2 movies. One of them I was incredibly impressed by, and I can't believe it was as good as it was. The other I was supremely let down by. I watched Flamin' Hot, the Hot Cheetos.
Oh, how was that?
And I also watched We're the Millers. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. And Flamin' Hot, what a letdown, man.
Yeah.
We're the Millers
really?
was fucking hilarious.
Never see We're the
So
Millers?
inappropriate.
Oh, it's so inappropriate.
So inappropriate, but I was dying of
Yeah.
laughter
That was a
the
funny movie.
entire
Is
fucking
We're the Millers
time.
one with Will Poulter as like a baby?
Yeah, he's
And with
kid.
Lorelai from Vanderpump. And
course.
goddamn, it's the gift that keeps on. We're the Millers, everybody.
That's the
it's
Aniston
something,
one, right?
Yes,
Aniston
yes.
and
Problematic
Yeah,
as all hell.
Phil Lord
so
loved
many issues.
the Cheetos movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he
I
was
did.
tweeting like, man, like this is a great fucking.
I really,
anybody
I
talk
really
about
didn't. But Nick, Where the
Yes.
Millers ends. My first thought was Nick would love this movie, and then I remembered I think he actually does love the movie. Then movie ends. Because you liked this, you want to watch Suits? And I'm like, God damn it!
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna get you one way. But I'll tell you this also: those 2 shows, that show and that movie, have absolutely nothing in common.
Yeah.
Netflix
No.
is just pushing shoots on
They're
people
just like, "Here's Suits, baby."
crazy
Yeah.
right now. As well they should. We cut back over to Barbie. She's at a dance party, and this is where she has that first moment of like, I think about dying. And everyone's like, what? She has the first concept of her own mortality. The next day, she finds, of course, that she's having trouble completing her morning routine. The shower is too cold. The toast is burned, all that jazz, because now she's been thrown off by something. All the other Barbies. She also notices, and I love this touch, that she has, for the first time ever, a touch of cellulite, which is a common criticism of the Barbie dolls, just being too plastic and too perfect. So we have to go to, and this, I don't know that I've seen my wife laugh this hard and hit me in the arm until they introduced Weird Barbie. Because she totally went, slapped my arm, went,
She
totally
always
had a weird Barbie.
splits.
Oh yeah.
Totally had a weird Barbie. I was like, what's a weird Barbie? And as I was asking that, they're like, oh, that's a Barbie that someone played with a little too hard. And I'm like, yeah, that makes
Always
sense.
in the splits, dude. Looked like Angelica from
Oh, Cynthia.
Cynthia,
Yeah.
Angelica's
Angelica's
toy.
doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone always finds a pair of scissors. There's always some markers somewhere they're not supposed to be, and somehow they all end up with the Barbie.
Yep.
Cut hair.
We cut over to Kate McKinnon, who I think is used appropriately in here.
I think so too.
I think her and Will Ferrell, I think they you can be leaned on a little too much for the comedic value of them. I think they did a better job of putting her in here where it made sense. A couple times toward the end, I'm like, okay, no, we're fine. We're fine. I think it was okay.
What I appreciated about her in this movie is I feel like the balance between her dialogue comedy and physical comedy was like the right amount of both for me, where I was like, you know what, overall, you're funny as a character and I like you.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like sometimes we've seen that go a little too far.
Ghostbusters.
2016.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we went a little too hard on that one. She tells her, of course, Barbie Land, there's a kid playing with you in the real world, and that kid is going through something right now, and so you got to go find that kid and make it right. And how you do that is by traveling to the real world. And this, I love this part Because Margot Robbie's like, no.
I'm good.
I don't want to do that. She's like, no. She's like, she gives her the choice. She goes, oh, I choose to stay here. She's like, that's not really a choice. You have to go to the real world and you have to do this. She's like, I don't want to. And then goes,
There's
how?
something so funny about the real world choice being a Birkenstock too.
Yeah.
Oh, that
just
got a
like
pop.
the heels, the Birkenstocks, like, yeah, that makes sense.
That got such a pop in the theater. Of course, the way they do this, and I love the production design behind this, is they got to take a car to a boat to a rocket, and that'll finally to a snowmobile to the roller
Camper,
skates.
yeah.
So let me stop you here real quick because we all gave our thoughts on this. One thing I didn't give enough love to is how much I love the visual identity of this movie. Y'all know me. I'm a sucker for just committing to like the insane. I love Speed Racer because it did that. This movie fucking does that. And there's certain points of it where I was like, I don't know that this is committing, but I don't know if it's working for me. And the whole traveling between Barbie Land and the real world, the like green screen look of it and all, I was like, I am not feeling this. I don't like this. It feels cheap and it feels bad. This morning I had something blow my goddamn mind. Kev, can you please bring up?
I was gonna say, was it green?
The tweet that I sent to Asset
Yeah.
here. That was all fucking real on a real set. And the way that like, if you look at the floor here, it starts like it's like on a big ass
God, he's pulling the
Turnstile. Yeah.
what's it called? Freaking
like an
like a
escalator,
treadmill.
like a
treadmill.
God.
Yeah.
Treadmill. Yeah. So like every aspect of this was real.
I love this.
So blew my fucking mind. But anyways, there's something about it that felt off to me, but I was wrong. So I just want everybody to know you can blame me for things.
Yeah.
And Kev, great job with the pink.
See, that was oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I was just saying that's what I appreciate about it. It's like that's something that could have so easily been green screen, but I think based on all of the influences on this movie, Greta was like, no, we can do this. We can figure this out and make it real.
I loved it. It reminded me of a Wes Anderson movie, which Tim, I know you have no context for. We're gonna solve that one of these days. One of these days.
Take me down to Asteroid City.
Of course, before where the grass is green and the girls are pretty.
Yeah.
Get that ready. Get that ready for Wes Anderson.
That's the vibe. Yeah.
Singing
Because
that,
I'll tell you what, Wes Anderson and Guns N' Roses go together very, very well.
Not
that
remind
theme
us of this in
song.
6 years when we do that.
singing that during Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Love this, of course. She gets in the car. Ken is in the back seat, and then she just utterly dunks on him for bringing the rollerblades. She's like, "Did you bring your rollerblades?" He goes, "Actually, maybe it wasn't a dunk because she had rollerblades too."
Yeah.
Maybe I read that wrong, but she's like, "Did you bring your rollerblades?" He goes, "I literally go nowhere without them," and they're just fluorescent
They're
yellow, perfect rollerblades.
Their
Tried to
rollerblade look.
convince Mike to buy them
Oh,
because you can buy them in
please.
real life,
Sure, he
but
has
he
them
wasn't.
already. Mike bought a bat today because he didn't feel like going home to get his other 5 bats that he owns.
God damn. The rollerblade look might be my favorite look of anyone in the movie. It's just so great to me when they're in the real world. It's so perfect. I do have one outfit that I'm ashamed to say I like more, but we'll save that for later.
Is it the fringe?
No, it's the fur jacket.
It's the fur
It's just
jacket, isn't
fucking
it?
when Ken goes full Ken and like he's just like this is the epitome of what cool looks like. Andy, I think he's right. I think I'm part of the problem. She was like, Tim, you're an issue, and I'm like, I know.
Don't listen to her. We'll fight back. Tim,
It's
don't
so
worry.
good. Don't wink at me.
I
One
cannot
word,
wait
kingdom.
to see the Tim and Gia Halloween costume this year.
Oh, it's
I
gonna
wanna be them.
So good. I mean, Tim, I literally when he came out, and then I was like, Tim's got to go as this, for
Dude,
Halloween.
he looks
He
so
has
sick.
to go.
I love that he has like weird like eyeliner. Like, oh my god, it's cool as
It's
fuck.
the best. Of course, they get to the real world, and it is not what they expected. Barbie all of a
The
sudden. is-
transition into the real world is also so cool. You can see them like pulling the backgrounds off.
I love all that
It's
stuff.
so
Yeah. But of course, they're in Venice Beach now, and people are looking at them like they got 2 heads. Well, I guess 4 heads. It is not going well. Of course, they encounter. This is the first real instance that we start to encounter some of the commentary of this movie. Barbie is feeling very objectified, and Ken suddenly is feeling overly confident.
Oh man.
like, man, people
the
are just looking
undertones
at me.
of violence line is
Yeah.
the one that like really
Oh.
feels it.
That was good. Of course, she goes, "Oh, look, a construction site, a great place to find a lot of females." And of course, there are none. It's just a bunch of asshole, sweaty dudes who immediately objectify her and have horrible comments for her to say. Ken, of course, empowered by all of this, for the first time in his life, feeling like this is something's different.
This is where I belong.
Let's see.
This movie made me laugh so much with just any time there was an instance of a dude being an asshole or a dude being a dude and looking at Ryan Gosling's reactions and feeling so like validated and like, oh my God, this is where I belong. Looking at the horse, looking at this, the stuff that like was getting him
Trucks.
it was so good, man.
Andy, I'm not one to rest on tradition here.
Sure.
Okay. But we do podcasts within podcasts
Yes, we do.
every once in a while.
We should
And I'm not sure when the appropriate time would be to talk about Ryan Gosling's abs in this movie.
I think
But I would like to have
if
an
that sound
intelligent
did play.
discussion about it.
Could have a little discussion about some
Little discussion.
abdominals if the theme
Little-
song played.
Obstetrics.
Were they
There it is.
born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs. So pronounced.
They're so big. They're so good.
So defined.
He's just a good looking.
They had to like
They shaded him in a little bit.
they shaded because like they're there obviously. I'm not saying like they're shading to add abs to him. I'm saying that they're shading to accentuate the already accentuated abs
Right.
that are there.
Right.
They looked so like if you watch this movie in 3D, watch out. You're gonna be poking eye out.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt.
They were so large.
He's just his body in this was great looking. He's good on him because there are moments where everyone else is around him. And I don't know if it was like a contract stipulation that his muscles look a little bit bigger and a little bit more veiny, but
God damn.
yeah,
Underwear.
there's a moment where he
Underwear's
like
so good.
he like flexes forward. He's like, "I'm sorry, I forget what he says," and I'm like, "Jesus Christ, how can you say no?"
Yeah.
This guy's just
See,
so good
dude,
looking.
you guys, I have a problem, man. I have many problems, but one of my problems is
Guys,
like
underwear,
I like
man, that's
I like
incredible.
things like a lot. And like I really just want this vest. Like I really want. I was trying to find it and I couldn't.
I'll make you the best.
And that's my problem. Is like I think I
Get a
have.
pair of scissors. We're cutting
I
the
might-
sleeves off of Nick's
I'm
jacket.
very particular. I want that wash though. I want it to be the light with the white. But dude, you guys, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get a denim vest. Okay, you guys, if you stay with me, you're gonna have to hang out with me. But it's gonna happen.
Patriarchy.
wins again. There we go.
But I do want to transition from one podcast within a podcast to another one called Wigging Out.
Is it a wig? I don't know. Wigging out with Scarpino.
What's up, everybody? Tim, what's up?
So this movie has sparked a lot of debate, a lot of conversation online, a lot of memes, a lot of just discourse, I would say so far in the positive way for the most part. One thing that has just set Twitter ablaze is the fact that John Cena's wig looked better than Dua Lipa's wig. John Cena's wig looked awesome.
Shockingly good.
I loved it. When he popped up, I was like, God damn it, yes.
For just the little baby's little
Perfect.
scenes.
And
Good
what's
for
the
him.
what's the story of him like being across the lot or something like that?
I don't know.
There's I think there was some stories I don't know how.
Oh, is this like a Daniel Craig stormtrooper moment where he just happened to be
like
shooting
the
something
stories
next
are
door?
that he was doing I think Fast X in a neighboring lot somewhere and walked over and was like, "Do you want to be in the movie?"
That's so
That he was like
perfect.
him and Margot Robbie. I don't know how true that is or not, but I know there's a lot of like stuff out there on the internet.
That's
about
totally something you would do. If
Yeah.
you were shooting Barbie, you'd be like, let's go get Nick. Let's go see if Nick wants to be in this. Well, you wouldn't have to convince me. I'd be around.
Cena previously revealed that his casting was a happy accident as he had been filming Fast X right across the street and pitched himself to Robbie for a cameo role. Hadn't worked with her before, but I was filming across the street and she asked, "Why don't you do Barbie?" And I said, "I've been trying." And then Margot makes a lot of decisions for that. And I said, "Well, I'll do whatever you need."
Just put him in a wig, have him be the mermaid.
I love that
good.
him wanting to be in the Barbie movie and Margot's response is, "Mermaid?"
Yeah.
Like, how do we add this?
They get arrested a couple times here because they steal clothing, one of which is the cowboy look that I think is
Gosh.
the best thing ever for the both of them. Just incredible. Her and all pink, him with in the black fringe. Wonderful. Outside the police station, Margot has to do some heavy thinking. This is when we get that beautiful scene with her and the older woman who's sitting at the bus station. She's like, "You're beautiful." And the woman's like, "I know, well, whatever."
I know it.
Which is great. Another incredible comedic beat here with Ryan Gosling, where he's like, "I'm gonna go for a walk," and then like looks over his shoulder as he's walking.
Just
and
keep staring.
Just keep staring until she finally goes, "Don't go too far." And he's like, "Oh, go."
It's
God,
perfect.
it's so perfect.
The perfectly flared bell bottoms with the stars. All of how much fun he has with the fringe.
Oh, he has a lot of fringe
yeah.
in this because of course, she has a vision. She has a vision of the girl that's playing with her and where she might be, which is at a junior high across town. They get arrested a couple times. Want to give a shout. I think one of the comics that was in here, and it went by fast, and I meant to look it up. But I'm going to go on a limb and say I think it was Adam Ray, who was a comedian out of the Comedy Store, and he did my room one time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was over at Punchline, and he was eating dinner above the Fish and Farm. And he was like, I was like, you want to come down for a site? He's like, sure. And he ripped that room open for 10 minutes.
Dang.
Very awesome.
Where was he? Sorry.
He was one of the cops that was like,
Oh, got it.
they were talking, objectifying her in the police station. I think that was him. See if he's in Barbie. Yep,
He
that's him.
is.
Yeah, he was a police guy.
Hell yeah.
Also,
really nice guy.
Spy, great.
And The Heat.
wow.
This guy is in
This
every
guy
got
can't-
your life.
this guy
bro.
can't miss.
Yeah.
Suits. Adam Ray. What? He was Gabriel Mox the entire time. They go over there, of course, and they get to the junior high or the high school, whichever one it is. She finds the girl. She tells Ryan Gosling to chill out, and he's like, okay, fine. He's like, I'm just going to go into this library. So before that happens, of course, a mom comes up and asks him what time it is, and he's like, I've never felt more important in my entire life.
So fucking
Insane.
funny.
I'll just say it right now. We get the payoff for that line later when he goes, somebody asked me what time it is.
And he was all
He has
watching.
3 watches on. He goes into the library and then later comes out with books on the patriarchy and horses. And this is just the best thing anyone's ever written down on a piece of paper.
Oh,
for the
yeah, because
script.
on his walk earlier, is that when he goes around to like the mall?
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a weird moment because I was like, this doesn't make sense in the world we've built, but it doesn't matter because he
Yeah.
goes while she's talking to the girl. He leaves, goes on a walk, tries to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And he's like, can I talk to
Oh
a real
my God.
doctor, like a doctor? She goes, I am a doctor. He goes, oh, never mind. I see him right there, doctor. And he goes over to a male doctor. Do me just do one surgery? Can I just do one surgery? Why not?
Clicky pen thing too was so funny. Like,
Wanna get a
oh,
clicky
of course, that's what you know about doctors. They have clicky pens.
Yep.
Oh God, it's so.
But I am a man. like this, all of that sequence. It's just like
There's
the
so
moment you thought it was gonna stop being funny, it
No.
didn't, and it just
Perfect.
kept on being great.
And with any other actor, I feel like that would have came off like really douchey and like not funny. But he's so earnest and like just a brand new soul in this. Like, has not
You
experienced
idiot.
anything.
He's just lovable, very likable. Of course, back at the school, Barbie approaches. I should find the name of this character because she's kind of vital. The daughter. I'll just say that. I'll look it up in a second. Sasha, I think is her name. Who is America Ferrera's daughter. They before heading to the table, and these girls at this table are very imposing looking. Another student warns Barbie that she's going to get eviscerated when this happens. Barbie, of course, doesn't listen because everybody loves Barbie. I'm Barbie. I'm here. I'm here to make everything better. Of course, she makes everything completely worse by going there. And we should know that she cried once with the older lady, but now she goes on Barbie. I'm here, and then this girl's like, we haven't played with Barbie in years. And then Sasha just proceeds to tell her everything that's wrong with stereotypical Barbie in every sense possible, and just completely utterly eviscerates her. And she sends her packing, crying as she goes. Of course, at this point, I think we've already had the Mattel scene where the guy from Sex Education runs up and tells Will Ferrell and the team, and they do the whisper party thing.
Well, real quick though, I loved the shot here, the creativity in it, having the, or maybe it's later. Maybe there's the split screen shot where what's happening in Mattel is also happening in Barbie Land, I believe, and
Yeah.
you see like one person from that world pop up over here, and it's just like really creatively done. I don't know-
Production design was like on point for that.
Yeah, it was just like a split shot, but like you'd see somebody walk off screen here and then they'd pop up on the other side as like whatever other person that was on set that day. But I just loved how creative all of this was and how it was shot.
Agreed. At this point, they're out there looking for Barbie. So they find her at the school. They pull
Well,
her in.
real quick, the boardroom scene, the Will
Yes.
Ferrell, like all that
Sure.
stuff. Like, I feel like this setup bit, like this is where, I mean, I don't think I've talked to a single person that like liked the
Right.
Will Ferrell stuff, right? Like, I feel like that's kind of like everyone's kind of.
I thought it was fine at best, yeah.
And it's like I feel like this scene, like just the concept of there's a group of dudes that are talking about what girls and women want, and like that alone, it's like cool, we get it. But I feel like they like doubled down on that without saying anything more than that, and I feel like it then made it say less. I just feel like the more it went on, the whispering and all that stuff, it kind of just felt at a certain point. I feel like it muddled the message to me, and bringing up the whole. Oh, this has happened before. Like, what Skipper? Who was it? Like somebody else got out and
I
went
forgot.
to Florida,
Yeah.
something like that.
or whatever. I care a lot about rules of movie worlds, and I feel like this started breaking it a bit, where I started asking questions that the movie didn't want me asking.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then for them to just triple down on these guys, I was like, oh man.
It felt like some of the comedic bits were like so unfunny at times that they were thought of on the like
They
They were
definitely will.
concepted there in when they were all on set together. So yeah, I'd say like at most there were some decent moments of comedy later on, but I feel like these intro sequences kind of left me feeling with a bad taste in my mouth.
But there is the one part where Will Ferrell was like, did we tickle each other? Don't hug me. No hugs. That got me, Will.
Yeah, I got me too.
Of course, at this point, they're out there looking for her, and they pick her up outside the school where America Ferrera sees this.
I will say she has one of my underrated favorite jokes at this point where she's like crying outside of the school where Sasha calls her fascist Barbie. And then when she's like talking about all the mean things that she said, she's like, I don't even run the trains, which is like the Mussolini joke.
Hilarious.
That's like, at least the trains ran on time under him and stuff like that. I'm just like, this is such a weird joke to make, but it worked for me really well.
Oh no, there's a lot. I wish. Again, I'm going off the wiki for this. I wish I had been able to watch this and take notes because all of those like little moments of really smartly written lines are bangers.
Yeah.
They're all so good, including the Helen Mirren line that we're going to get later. Where they're like, you are making this point, and she just goes, look, there's no way around this. We're all thinking the same thing. There's no way to make Margot Robbie sympathetic as being a person that feels bad. We get it. Let's just call attention to that and move right on. But anyway, we're not quite there yet, of course. I believe America Ferrera sees this and goes, oh my God, that's Barbie. And Sasha's like, wait, the real Barbie? That's weird. Barbie gets taken back to Mattel headquarters, where she is asked very, in an imposing way to get put back in the box. Which is very, very metaphorical, of course, and literal, because they bring out a very big box that they want to strap her into. The massive white twisty ties is why I think this movie should get an Academy Award. Yeah. That box, all of that, because it's hilarious, but then when she gets in it, you instantly feel that sense of get out of this. You have to get out of this.
Claustrophobic.
It's claustrophobic. It's we all know what's going to happen, and she kind of doesn't understand it, but she feels it, and of course pulls out of the box last minute and goes, "I have to go to the bathroom." Which all the guys are like, "Oh yeah, of course, want to be sensitive to that." Now, even though they know she doesn't, literally at this point, I don't think she even has the capacity to go to the bathroom. But she runs out, escapes, and this is where she runs into Rhea Perlman, who you of course know.
Running through the stuff didn't work.
I
was like, man, I don't know.
The weird chase scene where that's another one of those moments where you go, this was added day of, and just an attempt to add some levity to this. This what should have been the fun and games section of this movie was just terrible.
One thing I will say about Will Ferrell and the whole boardroom is that in the same way that Tim loves when directors and filmmakers or whatever commit to the bit, I loved that. I thought they were going to be a very serious kind of boardroom, and the humor was going to be in the irony that all these men are running this Barbie corporation or whatever. But like they were so cartoonish that I enjoyed that part of it. I didn't expect them to like during this chase scene how cartoony it was. Of like, oh, I went the wrong way. Like the stuff like that, I just wasn't expecting them to act like that. I kind of enjoyed how they amped up the goofiness on all of it because I thought it was going to be a lot more kind of self-serious. So I did appreciate, because this isn't the only instance that we do see the levels of goofiness when, the tickling later on is brought up. But like, I just didn't expect them to be that stupid, or when they get stuck at security and don't know how to get out with the fucking key.
We didn't need the whole time.
Like that, I didn't know that they were going to act like that. And I did enjoy that they kind of went as far as they did with them.
I appreciate that they didn't make Will Ferrell like an actual like villain in the movie, which I feel like very easily could have happened. It's just like, here's this guy who ended up in this position of power because of the patriarchy, and he's like kind of goofy and doesn't really know what's going on. I feel like that.
It's like Paul Rudd in Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Well, I've never watched Parks and Rec. I just said that, yes, automatically. But I feel like it's just like another commentary on like who's making these decisions. It's not always people with like bad intentions. It's just like people that end up in places because of society.
Agreed. Although there is the one moment where the guy's like, or he's talking to the guy at the bottom of which I think is the CAA building in Century City, where he's like, oh, we can't hire you. You don't have a PhD or an MBA or whatever. And he's like, but what about the patriarchy? I thought you were just supposed to hire people. He goes, we're just a lot better at hiding.
Yeah,
exactly.
Great lines right there.
Good. Anyway, this is where she runs into Rhea Perlman, who of course everyone knows as being Danny's mom from the Mindy Project. Of course. Talked about this multiple times.
Yeah.
also famous for Cheers, which he was on for a very long time, and married to Danny DeVito. Still, I think, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
I want to say yeah.
That'll
that sounds
be
right.
like a Love is Dead one if they ever get divorced now.
Oh, if they get divorced now, I'm just ending it all and moving to Canada. So she runs into her in this weird area of the building.
They're
that's-
split up. Cameron Kennedy. Sorry. Fuck Tim or Nick, you gotta go to Canada.
All right, guys.
Oh, man.
Tim, charter me a plane.
Joey, or somebody here might be able to help. Camila Cabello.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a big fan of her.
Cabello?
Cabello?
Yeah.
Cabello?
Because caballo is horse. Also, speaking of horses.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of her and her music. She is, at least at one point, was romantically linked to Shawn Mendes,
Correct.
A singer, for a very long time. I thought still, to the point that me and G were watching some trailer for some movie, and it said Camila Mendes. And I was like, holy shit, did they get married? And Gia laughed at me and was like, no. Are they still together?
Camila Mendes, somebody totally different. She's in Riverdale, I believe.
That's crazy. Do you know if
I don't
I saw
think
Camila
they're
Mendes at
together
an
anymore.
airport one time.
I don't think they're together anymore.
Damn, that's really
Sorry.
sad. Okay. we can
But
continue.
then I do believe that they were seen together at the Taylor Swift concert this summer. So people thought they might be back together. Maybe they are. But I know that they're like a very like will they won't they.
Tim's learning stuff.
How do you say so?
Cabello.
Cool. I learned a lot today.
We
Yeah.
both have.
Continue on, Ken.
Outside, they get picked up by. At this point, I think Ken has realized that he needs to go back to Barbie Land.
Bring the patriarchy.
He needs to bring the patriarchy. So all the other Kens need to learn about this. They need to learn about the patriarchy. So he heads back there. Barbie and America Ferrera and Sasha all have a moment where they realize in the car as a car chase ensues. Which again, another moment of this is a weird thing to have happening here. It's
But
not
these
quite working
Chevy
for me.
EV cars, man.
Tell you what.
Chevy electric vehicles.
They're
That
throwing
is
some ad
some
dollars at Barbie.
product
Yeah,
placement.
prominently.
Got-
No, but
they're-
like it initially when they show off at the Barbie cars in EV, right? It says like you have that cool sort of 50s looking font behind it, but the EV and Chevrolet and that sort of script old Chevrolet font is highlighted. Like, oh, cool. Oh, they made her a little vehicle and EV thing. But then like the rest of it is like I know Tim's always like, well, there's product placement and everything, but like this one is just like the car like rolls up at a very.
There was a chase scene for this.
It
felt
looks
like
like a commercial.
It's like a Transformers movie. We're
yeah,
like,
totally.
okay, Chevy did this.
It was
Yeah.
really egregious.
I really didn't like this, and this is the Tim nitpicky thing of this episode. But I really, again, like when movies have rules and they stick to them. The fact that we saw Ryan Gosling go to the real world and start to like learn some things and go and literally read books and like learn about the patriarchy that way. Meanwhile, we see everything that Margot Robbie's Barbie does. When we get the scene of her in the car with the mom and daughter and they're having conversations and at some point she's like, oh, was that with your dad? And then America goes like, and like Margot like responds to that as if she understands sex and understands all this stuff. To me, it just broke things of like, is she innocent Barbie land or does she know and understand the real
Right.
world? Because we've seen everything she's done. Again, nitpicky as
I
hell,
agree.
but I couldn't get over it.
Because it's that along with the question where she's asked or where what are we gonna do if you spend the night? And he's like, I have no idea. It's like those seem like opposed to each other.
Exactly. And I get that was Ken responding, but I didn't
Yeah.
get the vibe that Barbie knew either.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, the only other thing about the car thing that I will say, we didn't get a Barbie Jeep, which I feel like is like a
What
key
the fuck?
factor of childhood. Like
glad
being
you
in
brought
Toys
it up.
R Us, getting in the fake little like
Yeah.
test one,
like the large ones, right? Like
Yeah.
the one that like
Power
right
wheels.
around it.
yeah, man. I was always so jealous of anybody who had one of those.
That's like the one thing where I'm like, oh, I wish I had a Barbie. My mom was like, we got you so many things. That's the one thing we never got you, and it's the only thing you ever talk about. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I wanted a
How it works.
drivable
Cool.
car as a kid,
Yeah.
yeah.
We do establish, I think in this car ride, or maybe it was the car ride prior. Yeah, I think it's this one with that America Ferrera is actually the one that started playing with the Barbie because she misses her daughter and because
and you
she's-
see her drawings earlier.
Yeah, we saw her drawings of like I forget what the terminology was. It was basically like hopelessly depressed with the sense of her own mortality, Barbie, and all that jazz. That's incredible.
And cellulite,
my God.
There's
cellulite Barbie.
Yeah.
Isn't there a race in SF down a hill where like people do it in like weird Barbie Jeep
Like a
things?
cart.
In
It's like-
SF?
Yeah.
Is it
isn't
Twin
by the bay?
Peaks
No,
or something?
I thought. You're not talking about the Red Wings where they like go off a hill and see
I
who can
don't
go
think
the
so.
furthest?
I feel like I
I'll
saw.
look into it.
Okay.
Either way, they're like we gotta. let's see, destroy Barbie. Sorry, I'm skipping around here. Meanwhile, Ken goes back. So his other Ken's take about it, and Barbie's okay. So either way, they got to go back to. They get chased, and like we got to go hide out in Barbie Land. I think that's how they get back to Barbie Land. When they do, of course, they discover it is not Barbie Land anymore. It is the Kendom, and Ken has started his. And someone will have to help me out here. But he has turned the Barbie mansion into
the Mojo
Dojo Casa
House.
Casa House. And to which someone replies, "You don't need casa and house." And it's the funniest fucking thing. Just those little lines, those little sidelines are great. The patriarchy is in full effect here. The guys have they've all subjugated the women and brainwashed them into being their maids basically, or their servants. They and all they do is give them the brewski beers. Is that what it is?
Brewski beer me.
Brewski beer me. All the guys have taken on all the traits that you would imagine of toxic masculinity,
Making them watch Godfather.
Oh my god.
The
But-
Snyderverse comment.
Oh my god.
The Godfather comment was so funny because she was like, "Can you explain to me the relevance of Godfather?" And he goes, "Absolutely." And she goes, "Cool. And can we watch the movie while you talk over it?" Yeah. Danielle shot me a look, and I was like, All right, I got some stuff to work on.
She shot me a look.
Got a couple things
And
to
then
work on.
when we left afterwards, I was like, look, I fucking know. I fucking know. You married me. It is what it is.
Right.
Right. I want you to know that I have committed to now thousands of episodes of Real Housewives, okay? And the amount of times you've paused to explain the connections of who's with who and why, the spin-off show and whatever, and I want everyone to know I ain't complaining one bit. I fucking love this life, and it makes both of our lives better.
I just don't understand why my wife wouldn't want that extra information. I don't get it. I'll never understand it.
Look, it's because Heisenberg, you know, when he's wearing the hat, he's Walter White, but you know what I mean? Like, you got to understand Breaking Bad and the
But
nuance.
which one is the one that knocks?
Say my name, Jesse. He didn't say that to Jesse. He says to the other guy, but
You know that Aragorn broke his foot,
Huh?
actually?
yeah,
You know?
it's crazy.
I think my wife actually likes it when I read the trivia. I really think she does. Sometimes she goes, "What?" And I tell her. She goes, "That was a good piece of trivia."
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
Does she do it while staring at her phone?
No, I whenever we watch any movies, if I've seen the movie before, I'm on the trivia, and I'll go, "Huh?" She goes, "What?" And I'll tell her. And 9 out of 10 times, she doesn't
Doesn't
like
give a
it.
shit.
But that time, she's like, "Interesting." And
know,
it makes it all worth
That's
it.
the win. That's the win. 9 out of 10 times, doesn't like it. 1 out of 10 times, interesting.
Mildly bothered by it. That's it.
Do you know that Sean Bean would take a helicopter up to when they would shoot in Lord of the Rings, Joe, because he was scared of climbing the mountains. He would take the helicopter up. And one time they almost died in the helicopter, and the whole time he was getting mad at Elijah Wood behind him because they were just farting around.
Because they were smaller than him. Because they're hobbits. They try to get out of Barbie Land with the help of Alan, who's like, "I want out of here. I do not want to be here anymore." They get to the end of the road, and of course, Margot Robbie's like, "Wait a minute. They're going to vote tomorrow. They're going to ratify the Constitution here."
No. She's not in the car. It's just America and the daughter. Because
Oh, you're right.
melts down.
You're right. At this point, I think Margot. Yeah, that's right. Margot Robbie has a meltdown and she lays down. She's
Can we
like,
also talk about the non-committal long distance term girl? I don't remember what that is. We have to figure that out. That was my other way too long title.
so funny.
So good.
That's right. America Ferrera and her daughter are about to leave with Alan, and then she stops and goes, "No, we have to help them. We have to use their words basically against them." And like, they start coming up with a plan of like,
Can't let her give up.
Can't let her give up. Can't let Barbie give up. That's right. But Alan has the best line. He goes, "Do you see those guys over there?" And we cut to the opposite shot with the group of construction workers. And he goes, we're building a wall. And he goes, "As soon as they figure out they can build that wall sideways and not just straight up, we're screwed. They're going to wall this whole place in. We'll never get out of here." And I'm like, God, only Michael Cera could have said
And
that.
then it turns into a Michael Cera fight scene. Oh my God,
Yeah.
this was hilarious.
Ridiculous. Either way, they all decide to go back to Barbie Land. They grab Margot Robbie and they bring her back to Weird Barbie. They also have a couple other Barbies, including Sugar Daddy Barbie, who's just the daddy of this little dog named Sugar. We meet a bunch of other
Dazzling
Barbies.
earring Ken.
The best,
So good.
which was, another
So
commentary.
funny.
And then, of
Even
course,
it's stuff like that is like mind blowing that Mattel even let them make this movie.
I'm shocked.
Which was like my first statement after walking out, because it's just like
They're talking
this
shit.
is
The
some
TV screen in her back.
Yeah, exactly.
she's like, "Who is
I
this
don't know the
for?"
problem with that one. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, I get this. This is cool as hell.
I give kudos to Mattel for that. I think owning your history and owning the history of Barbie, both good and bad, is a good thing. I think for them, and obviously it's going to work because spoilers, they're going to make a lot of money off of this
Barbie's back.
franchise.
Hell yeah.
Barbie never went anywhere, buddy.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I never had a Barbie.
Yeah.
GI Joes.
I wasn't really a Barbie girl either.
Really?
No, because it was like too hard to put all their clothes on and their shoes. My like best friends had the Barbie house or whatever. I was always like a stuffed animal kind of girl. And then eventually I got an American Girl doll and they were much easier to dress.
Game changer.
You guys will have to help me out with this. The next moments. This is when America Ferrera basically is like gives the speech of like, this is why it's it's impossibly hard to be a woman, and it's all of the things that you could possibly imagine. And I don't know if you want to speak to this at all, Joe, but like the dichotomy of having to always be nice but also be stern. But when you're stern, you're seen as a bitch, and if you're not, you're seen as a pushover, and you're expected to have children but also have a career, and you're torn down by not just men but also other women, and we all should be building each other up. And it's a wonderful
attractive but not too hot, or else you're like slutty and you can't be this like.
Yeah, you can't say that you think you're hot because then you're conceited. It's just like it's all of the caveats that put you in just like this small box that is unrealistic. Like nobody can fit into that. So it's one of those things that everybody feels, and like it does seem like people are probably going to eye roll over the scene. Not the right people, but people will. But it's just like sometimes it's nice to know that the things that you feel are being felt by other people, and it's not just you. And like sometimes you need to say the quiet things out loud.
And I think awesome. The whole movie obviously was, from Greta Gerwig's perspective, I would imagine was building up to this point.
Yep.
I think when she envisioned what she was going to do for this, I think there was a scene like this that she had, and you sort of craft the movie and the narrative around this. And of course, it leads to Margot Robbie having the crisis of conscience as well, and being like, I don't know who I am anymore. And I think she says something to the degree of, I just don't feel like myself, or I don't feel pretty anymore. And that's where we get the Helen Mirren line, like, pause.
Director's
we get
note
it.
For next
Director's
time.
note to the directors. Maybe we don't
cast somebody else that isn't Margot Robbie. We know that it's hard to make her look
empathize and make her look
unattractive or whatever. And it's little line. I was telling Joe, like it's little lines like that I think make this movie a lot more special, because I that's such like a YouTuber thing to do, but like that doesn't feel like you would get a moment like that where a narrator's going, hey, directors know, by the way, maybe if you want to, have somebody look unattractive, don't cast Margot Robbie. I think that is like such a funny moment, and it felt so random and not something I was expecting from a big Hollywood type movie, but it makes it extra special for me. Like little things like that, like, I don't know, it just felt awesome,
And there's just enough of a beat that you can feel everyone being like, okay, Margot Robbie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then to have that come in at the perfect timing to like throw everybody off. Because the narration is like so pretty much only that point in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like pretty light through the second act.
Beyond that,
I
think you're right. I don't think, again, you can never have too much Helen Mirren.
Right.
She could have narrated every scene. I would
Yeah.
with this. I was shocked she wasn't in this movie.
I know. I thought we were going to get a little peek.
Yeah. From here, the plan is hatched. We're going to use men against each other. First, we're going to pay a lot of attention to them, and then we're going to subtly turn them against each other by not paying attention to them.
Yeah, we got to unbrainwash the Barbies.
Right. Oh, they got to unbrainwash the Barbies first, and then so they do that by, I forget how they do it. I think it's by
They use the girl whose name I don't remember. I forget which Barbie she is, but she has like the curly hair and stuff like that. But they use her. She gets deprogrammed first by America Ferrera's speech.
Right.
And then they use her as the decoy, and then they swap out.
And then they one by one deprogram them, right? And they all come back to themselves, and they're like, "Where was I? What was
This
going
is where
on?"
we get the Godfather. This is where we get the Photoshop bit.
Right.
These are all-
How are we gonna? Oh God, that was.
Oh, God, man.
And then, of course, we get the best scene here, which is when they turn them against each other by asking them to play the one song they know on guitar.
Barbie going back to get Ken.
And you think it's just going to be Ryan Gosling in this. And then the circle.
We also missed the I'm Just Ken music at some point.
No, I think that's
Or is that
before he goes to war.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think it's a bit
mistaken.
later.
Okay, thank you.
So he's singing to her, and then it says 4 hours later, and he's still singing to her in the same song. Now he's on the beach, and now all the Kens are circled around a campfire singing the exact same song. And there's a line where she goes, I want you to play that song for me you barely know, and stare weirdly stare uncomfortably into my eyes for the next 4 hours. And it's so damn funny.
And he grabs her and he says, "Oh yeah, I can play that at you." Which
Play that at you.
there is not a single female identifying person who has not experienced the torture of having some guy at some fucking party play a song at you. I'm so happy they didn't play Wonderwall because that's the stereotypical one. But it's just like, none of this is for me. This is all for you, and I'm just a captive audience for you. And by captive, I mean just truly captive.
The thing that I love the most about this selection of song by Matchbox 20 is that it's the last song I would have assumed would have been chosen, but it feels like it's so personal to Greta Gerwig's life that I feel like at some point in time, this was a joke for her and other people that she knows closely because they know about that one time at a party that dude wouldn't stop playing the Matchbox 20 song named Push. And like, it's, again, you talk about Wonderwall being played and like how that's like usually the go-to joke meme of a song. I would have, if you would have given me a list of 10 songs, I would not have expected to be pushed by Matchbox 20. And that's why it was so much more funny for me.
And the lyrics for it are so good too, of like, I want to push you around, I want to take you for granted, which is like such, I feel like the way that Ken feels, even though that's not how Barbie necessarily was meaning to treat him. And then that's on the reverse, how they're treating the Barbies now in the Kendom and stuff like that. It's so good. It's so good.
So fucking funny.
Of course, their plan works like a charm. Barbie goes great, and then immediately starts paying attention to another Ken, and then one by one, they all start paying to other Kens, of course, turning them against each other. A rivalry, another rift happens in the Kens. It is now Ryan Gosling's Kens versus Simu Liu's Kens, and this is where we get, I believe, the go to war moment where I'm just Ken happens. And you forget for a second, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan Gosling was a Disney kid, right?
Yeah.
He was on the Mickey Mouse Club.
You forget this man is multifaceted, Tim.
Oh, yeah.
He was in that. He sang in La La Land.
Sang in La La Land.
Danced in La La Land. He had a band called Dead Man's Bones. That was like some weird indie project.
Whoa. So, Tim, if you're thinking he can't hold down a musical number, you better think again, bucko.
That wrong.
Because he crushes this.
They
all crush this. I would have loved to have been one of the background guys. I'm not fit enough, but I would have loved to do this, or just be on set when they were filming some of these sequences. Because I love the moment where they cut to the big sequence and it looks like it's.
Look at that little baby face, but look at it.
So crazy.
Him, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake. Come on.
Wait, who? Wait,
Ryan Gosling, bottom left.
Yeah, who's
on
then
bottom
he's
right?
Bottom right, Britney Spears.
Oh, shoot.
Right above her on the right, Christina Aguilera. Above her, Justin Timberlake.
Insane.
Whoa. Little did we know.
One of them,
the dominance that was going to come out of that group.
I think Ryan Gosling lived with Justin Timberlake for a while because he's Canadian and his like parents couldn't stay around. So I think Justin's mom was like his guardian for a little bit.
I would
they
feel
were in LA.
So unbelievably insecure if I was hanging out with Ryan Gosling and Justin Timberlake. I'd be like, yeah, I don't deserve this. It'd be tough. This sequence great. Love the production design behind like them dancing in all blacks. Similar to, I want to say, kind of like a Danny Zuko moment. We have some references to that in this as well. All this stuff, all of them doing the dance, all that stuff is great.
Well, in the supercut of like what makes being a man awesome, you see the shots.
It's Reese. It's the Sylvester Stallone.
Oh my God.
I also, out of order here, I just want to give a shout out to when they go back to the mansions and every TV's got horses on it.
Dude, me and the whole, like, I feel like me and the whole row to the right of me were, like, we all formed a bond of laughter together. And that shot where it's all the Kens just like, what are we going to do? This and that. And yeah, it's what Barbie Land was, but now it's all changed. But it's such a serious, like, joking conversation in this moment, and every TV is just on loop. A video of horses just on loop, and like all of us were just, I was dying of laughter, dude. I couldn't listen to the fucking dialogue. It was so funny.
And the dialogue in that scene is so funny too, because it's like, well, can we have a new? It's gonna be confusing if we're all Kens, and like, how do we know which Kens and all that stuff? Gosh.
They go to war. They fight on the beach.
Dude, the war and the musical number, when this moment hit, I started turning into critical Tim here. I was like, all right, I see what you're doing here. I'm excited for it, but there's no way you're going to pull it off. And like, I don't know about this. I don't like this. And I don't like this. 20 seconds in, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot, Tim. This is everything you wanted this movie to be. It kept ratcheting up. I loved the music. I loved the various set pieces they had. It cutting with the war shit, I thought was so well shot. Used the production design so well. And also these fucking Kens. We love them so much. They're all so uniquely lovable. And they let them all shine after being broken down and us all laughing at them at this beach singing scene. I just thought that this sequence was like pitch perfect. And it was as good as it needed to be, and that is a tall order for something like this, of nailing that vibe of like, it's campy, but we're also saying something with this, and it's a musical number, which could be really hit or miss on determining a lot of different factors. They fucking did it.
Also, them like fake riding horses everywhere.
We are enough.
That took me a second, by the way. I was like, we are enough. Incredible. From here, though, of course, we go over to the Senate, where Issa Rae is now president again, and they have managed
They forgot to vote.
The guys forgot to vote, so they've ratified the Constitution. So now to just be back to put everything back to the way it was before. From there, Barbie cuts over. Fine. Oh, man. I'm
They
sorry.
go
We
back?
got to go back for a second. We got to go
Okay.
back for a second. Andy, I need you to ask me to be your boyfriend again.
Can you be my boyfriend?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Nick just walked up. Whose
Long
choice?
distance, low commitment
Sublime.
girlfriend.
What was the choice to have him say Sublime? It was so good.
Perfect.
So funny. Anyway, we go back everything's returning to normal, except I think some of the horses are still on TV. Oh no, the saloon doors are still the same at the Barbie mansion. Ken is there distraught.
Somebody earlier in the chat wants to know if Johnny Ace has a Mojo Dojo Casa House.
100%.
Have you ever been there?
I've never been there before.
Okay,
I don't have
never
the proper
invited you.
gi, the proper attire.
Okay.
It's usually no shoes.
No
Just so you guys know. Yeah,
Socks. Sure.
white socks.
Okay.
Hiked up. Yeah.
So then you don't even have to worry about asking Andy to take off his shoes.
No. The shoes are. If anyone attacks you, you're getting your foot attacked immediately.
Sublime.
Sublime. We go back and he's just distraught and he's like,
dork.
he loves her and she's like, I just don't feel that way about you. Part of me as a dude who gives out, professional love and sex stuff advice, I always want to see another guy pull him aside and be like, she doesn't feel that way about you.
Yeah.
I think we need more of that in movies. I think we need other guys being like, God, you're doing the wrong thing here. But unfortunately, had to be Barbie telling him, delivering this message. And this scene, I feel like, is the one scene I kind of want to be a little critical of, because I think it put a lot of the importance on Ken as opposed to Barbie's growth. But Ryan Gosling is Ryan Gosling, so the scene works. But I don't know if you have an opinion on it or not.
I like this scene because I feel like it is often you just have this person who's tried to take over your entire land, and you've taken it back, and now all of a sudden this person has wronged you, and now you're responsible for like consoling them for their feelings, and it's just like, do I have to do this right now? But I feel like that is often a position of like, you've held your ground on something and now somebody's upset, but you also have to manage those feelings. It's just like emotional labor for women.
Yeah, I get that.
Not to mention, she tells him that she doesn't feel that way about him, and then he tries to kiss her, and she's like, no, we're not doing this. It's like,
fair.
Ken, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. I believe in you.
He does have a moment though where I think we talked about it already, but I have to say it again, is that he was like, to be perfectly honest, once I found out that the patriarchy is not about horses, I lost interest. Incredible.
It's a great line, great
So
delivery.
good.
From that point on, he doesn't know who he is anymore. She's like, you're going to find out, just like I'm going to find out. And then Will Ferrell comes and he goes, hey, we got to put you back in the box. We got to write all this stuff. And then it's interrupted by Ruth, who ends up being the creator of Barbie. She named Barbie after her daughter, Barbara, because she wanted to give her, something a little bit more. I can't remember exactly what she says.
The
but I
lines
think it
about
was-
tax evasion were great.
Yeah, is this the part where she talks about like mothers
Yes.
stop so that
the daughters can keep moving forward and see how far they've gone, look back and see how far they've gone. all this wonderful. And this is when
We also forget about the part where Ryan Gosling just like throws all her clothes off the balcony and they do the freeze frame for like all of the brands. The names of stuff that they come up with, I don't know if those are real ones or fun or not, but
they were
they're
real.
so funny.
All the
I
different
think
the
they were all
palazzo
agreements were
pants.
great.
And even just like the way the clothes like moved, they like vibrated a little bit.
Yeah.
Production.
so beautiful. This is a beautiful scene, and she's like, Barbie's like, I want to go to the world and I want to be human. And she's like, well, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. Like, you're going to die one day. You're going to have all these issues, but you're also going to have all these wonderful things. We see the montage of real world women, their children growing up, experience all the experiences that Margot Robbie is hopefully about to have.
The
And
beautiful Billie Eilish song in the background.
she
Man, this was really good.
Yeah.
she
This whole sequence was awesome. And
This felt so Greta Gerwig.
it felt very much like they were in the volume. Like the lights around the wall all looked like everybody was reacting, and it didn't look like a green screen. It looked just
They
this,
did
the
shoot in the
mood here
volume.
was very good. Yeah.
and so Barbie moves on. Ken is left to his own devices to discover that he is in fact enough, or Kenough.
Enough. Yeah.
Kenough.
Enough.
I am Kenough, as his shirt says. The men of now Barbie Land are going, presumably on a journey of self-discovery that will lead them to higher levels of being and being better toward the women.
And eventually, and as much power as women have in the real world.
Yeah.
An interesting commentary. It is, you know,
Yeah.
take that for what it is. That is a dour commentary, unfortunately. But it was the commentary that they chose to make at that point. Barbie, of course, goes to the real world. And I thought she was going for a job interview. And man, this got a great laugh at the end where she goes, I'd like to see my gynecologist, please. Which is so funny for so many different reasons. But great moment to end the film off. And that is Barbie.
It's Barbie, baby. So obviously this is in review, but it's a one-off, so it's weird. We don't really need to rank, review, or recap any, or you know what I'm talking about here.
You know what I'm talking about,
But do we want to do RaGu BaGu?
RaGu BaGu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here for Barbie in review. He's the baddest of them all, ladies and gentlemen. In his mojo, dojo, casa, house.
The patriarchy.
The patriarchy. Where are we going to put Ken? The Kens and the patriarchy.
I mean, it's honestly pretty fucking phenomenal. Like, Will Ferrell's not the bad guy in this movie.
No,
He's just a
it's Ken.
part of it. The patriarchy being the antagonist, I just think was so well done. And like the amount of times that there would be an example of just hysterical comedy mixed with the darkest thing happening, but then finding that right balance, like even putting Barbie in the giant box. It was so funny to look at, and like it's making us laugh, but we all understand how dark that is. We all understand what they're fucking saying with it. All of the things about him learning about the patriarchy and like being so like power hungry about it all. It's funny as hell. It's also scary as shit.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I think that like the balance that they nailed with all of those things, like this was a great villain of this movie.
Yeah, like you're like I'm laughing at it while understandably like while knowing that it's uncomfortable because like it kind of reminds me of, you know, when we see that supercut in this movie of what makes the patriarchy so fucking badass, and it's whatever they're showing us, Rambo and
Screeching Eagle.
yeah, and it reminds me of America Fuck Yeah from Team America
World Police.
World Police, yeah, Team America. Having that sequence of hot dogs, fuck yeah, football,
McDonald's, fuck yeah.
like it's kind of a very
Bed Bath and Beyond. And one guy's like, fuck yeah.
fuck yeah. It hits a very similar level of comedy that I just really vibe with. So I agree with you, Tim. I think that like showcasing the evils there while also still finding the entertainment and the funny in it was really expertly crafted.
I think it's also, he's just
Joey,
so
if you
beautiful.
position it just right, it looks like he's looking at me.
It does look like he's looking at you.
For audio listeners, a picture of Ryan.
Oh my God.
Gosling.
Yeah.
It does look.
Something else that I think is so interesting about the way that they did this movie is that Ryan Gosling coming back after learning about the patriarchy, he never once had the ambition or goal of like starting his own kingdom. It was always about like conquering Barbie's land and like taking over. which I think is really interesting. And I think that also like encapsulates like the almost like a revengey aspect from it of like, I feel wronged in this, and so I'm going to now punish you. So I think that is also like reminiscent for a lot of people.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
I think also just like the great angle of Ken feeling, when you're getting like those sappy Ken moments near the end of the movie where he's like, "I was created for you." That's my sole purpose. That's a kind of funny community member. That was my sole purpose. Is like, what else am I gonna be if you are like telling me no? And having Greta Gerwig kind of navigate that line of discussion so expertly was like, I don't know, man. Like the ending of this movie, I think really ratcheted up a notch. Where I thought it was going to maybe disappoint me at some point. I kept waiting for this movie to really disappoint me, and it never did.
Yeah, they have that line of dialogue where he's like, it's Barbie and Ken, and she goes, and then I forget who says it, and she goes, why can't it be like it's Barbie and it's Ken? And he's like, it's Barbie and it's Ken, like discovering that sense of identity. But yeah, Joey, to your point, I mean that is the low key. I'm not so low key. I mean, that is the commentary, right? He's hurt because he wants her to be his girlfriend, and she doesn't think of him that way. And that's something that we've talked about in Love and Sex Stuff. We get calls all the time. How do I get this person to like me? And it's like, you don't. You got to move on. You got to go find yourself. You got to go like be who you are going to be and find yourself. How many times have we said, work on yourself, be yourself. Don't put that off on someone else.
You got to get into crypto, get a cool Lamborghini, man.
Crypto, Lamborghini, whatever this new EV truck is that Elon Musk is making, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's go. But yeah, I thought all that stuff was incredible.
Yeah, and I think it's also commentary on just like gender roles in general of like if someone is always put in a box of like being attached to the other. It's like it doesn't work in any configuration.
Yeah,
sure,
like,
of course.
A matriarchy would have like also has these issues. Like that is not necessarily the goal either.
Yeah. I mean, and to that point, I think this movie did such a good job for men out there that are going to watch this that are seeing this and are really empathizing with the Kens of like, oh man, they're being treated really poorly here. Like this isn't really nice or fair or cool or any of that stuff. And it's like, all right, guys, the point of the movie is that's how women are treated in real life.
Well, and
take something from that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because like at best at the beginning of the movie, the Kens are just the Barbies just kind of like ignore the Kens at best, but when the Kendom comes into play, all of a sudden all of the women are now like serving the Kens. So I think that's interesting too, because like, was it really that bad at the beginning if like they were mostly ambivalent towards them versus like making them be servants?
Yeah, suddenly the roles were switched way more extreme in the opposite way.
Yeah.
Where at first the Kens were just there surfing too.
Yeah.
They were just vibing. They weren't servants ever,
Yeah.
what I mean? It was a good movie. I liked it.
Surf instead of serving, baby. So that's Barbie, baby. Rank number 1 in the Barbie cinematic universe. Who knows? Maybe we will return to this one day. Maybe we eventually turn this into a toys
Lego
review.
There's 2 G.I. Joe movies, right?
My God, there's more than that.
Oh my
There's 2 G.I. Joes and there's Snake Eyes, and
We got
Small soldiers.
potentially.
Oh,
I've
man.
never watched it.
We're making toys and review,
We
everybody.
should be small
Toy
fucking
Story.
soldiers, dude.
We've got a couple Lego movies to
Yeah.
throw.
Yeah,
I love all
Would
this.
that be our? No, it's not our first overlapping in review because we have Batman and Nolan.
Right.
Yeah, and we also have Mortal Kombat, which we included Balls of Fury, which performed better than the other movies.
No!
I think there's one Mortal Kombat that did better, but this did better than 2.
I hate Nick. I hate him.
Watch Suits, Andy.
So cool.
Join us, one of us, Andy.
Oh, man. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of Barbie, the movie. And remember, next week we will be doing MCU in review, Secret Invasion. So if you haven't caught up on that yet on Disney+, now is your chance. 6 episodes. And then the week after that, it will be Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, which, good Lord, I'm freaking stoked on. Every clip of this shit looks so funny. Nick, you see this clip where they call him Leo Nardo, and they all make fun of him for being called Nardo? It's the fucking funniest thing I've ever goddamn seen. Stay tuned for all of us. I love you all.
Thank you for hearing the plot. Yes, you dare. Yes, you dare. Thank you for hearing the plot. Yes, you dare. Yes, you did. Nick, he told you what happened.